team of people.
Yes. Get your sunglasses.
Nick, which seats would you like to see? Yeah. I'll just give you the go ahead. I'll just say go ahead. Start. No. Front row if you'd like, ladies and gentlemen. Come right now. Honored guests.
RJ has this, yeah?
Yeah,
okay.
RJ.
Okay.
I'm reading this part. RJ's doing the rose ceremony. Yeah. Is the mic on?
I don't know, but yeah, it is.
Okay.
We weren't around when they were wool then. They were just still issuing out those when I came in. Then they went to this nice one.
Yeah, everybody come out.
Victoria, go. I remember the wool.
Vista Murrieta staff, students, and distinguished guests, good morning. Today, September 11th, 2017, marks the 16-year anniversary of the unforgettable tragedy that changed our country forever. Today, we dedicate this ceremony to honor the individuals, both service and civilian, that had fallen on the tragic day. Before we begin our ceremony, I would like to introduce and thank our distinguished guests. Pat Kelly, Superintendent, Ken Dixon, School Board Member, Mary Walters, Director of Secondary Education, Matt Bean, Assistant Principal, Mick Wager, Principal, Heather Just, Assistant Principal, and Howard Dimmler, Director of Student Services. At this time, I ask you to remove any caps or hoods and stand for the presentation of colors and the national anthem as they're performed by Vista Murrieta High School's choir and Air Force Junior ROTC.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, the land of the free, and the home of the brave.
They said make sure you move closer to the mic when you're talking.
For amber waves of grace.
That was a beautiful performance. Thank you, choir and color guard. And now, let us reflect on the thoughts of the individuals directly affected by the incident. Please welcome our principal, Mr. Wager, for his comments this morning.
Good morning and welcome students, staff, and guests. We are here to remember the tragedy that occurred on September 11th, 2001, and honor those who have perished on this day and in response to the attack. I want to thank our Air Force, JROTC cadets, and teachers for organizing this event for us. I also want to welcome our superintendent, as we already did before, Pat Kelly, and Executive Director of Secondary Education, Mary Walters, and Executive Director of Student Services, Howard Dimmler, from our district office, and Murrieta Unified Board Member Ken Dixon from our district as they join us this morning. Also, thank you to our other distinguished guests from around the community and to our teachers and students for attending this event this beautiful morning. The tragic events that occurred on September 11, 2001 happened 16 years ago. Half of you students were not even born on that day, and the rest of you were just little babies. However, if you talk to just about any older brother, sister, or family member, 20 years old or so and older, they will remember exactly where they were and what they were doing when they first heard about the attacks on 9/11. In fact, here's some homework for you. Go talk to your parents today and ask them what they remember about the morning of September 11th, where they were, and most importantly, how they felt. Why do we remember 9/11? 16 years ago, our nation and the world profoundly changed. There is a world before 9/11 and the world after. Never had there been such an attack on American soil. Nearly 3,000 citizens, police, and other first responders died on that day. 6,000 others were injured. These were normal people going about their day at work, going to work, flying on a business trip, visiting relatives. Others were heroes, men and women rushing into burning and smoke-filled buildings who gave their own lives to save the lives of others. All of their lives and the lives of their families were permanently and terribly altered on that day. Terrorist attacks like these are something you only saw on TV prior to 9/11, happening in other countries to other people. But this was something that happened to us on our home soil. The entire nation and the entire world changed on that day. We lost our sense of security and safety and the naive belief that no one would ever attempt an attack of this magnitude on the United States. Our resolve then, and is still now, strong. We vowed as a nation to not let this attack change our way of life or cause us to live in fear. The reality is, though we do remain strong and proud as Americans, this was an event that transformed our view of the world and our place in it. Students, it is important, whether you were born before or after 9/11, that you remember this event, learn from this event, and always keep a special place of honor for those who passed on that day.
Thank you for your words, Mr. Wager.
Including you have a blast, and there's activities all day long. Now, if you don't want Club Med, we can go to some of the resorts in Jamaica.
This just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
We want to tell you what we know as we know it. We just got a report in that there's been some sort of explosion at the World Trade Center in New York.
Brian Gumble, we understand that there has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center.
Currently, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here in New York City. It happened just a few moments ago, apparently. We have very little information.
Plane crash in the World Trade Center in New York. You can see the pictures there. It's one of New York's tallest buildings.
I'm the little boy that gives up his favorite teddy bear so that a stranger might be comforted.
I'm the single mother who has been trying to teach her child to sleep in their own bed, who holds him tight into the night, thanking God it wasn't her child that died.
I'm the old man, angry and resentful, but his military doesn't want him because of his age.
I'm the teenage girl that spends hours cutting ribbons for others to wear as a symbol of remembrance.
I'm the old woman who will never see her grandchild again.
I'm the police officer trying to keep idiotic reporters safe when his wife is still among the missing.
I'm the firefighter that called in sick that day, only to discover that someone else died in his place.
I'm the man who survived the falling building, only to learn that his sister and baby niece were in the plane.
I'm the little girl playing with her doll who can't understand when someone screams hateful things at her because of where her family is from.
I'm the secretary, angered by the seemingly callous response of those around her.
I'm a spelunker who was climbing down into the remains of a building, hoping to find someone still alive.
I'm the dog handler, searching for bodies that has to comfort my animal when only death remains.
I'm the woman who stands in line for 5 hours in order to give blood, hoping to help strangers in need.
I'm the man who gets up and goes to work every day, in spite of the tragedy, because he still has a family to feed.
I'm the first passenger to get back on a plane, even though I'm terrified, because I know somebody has to be first.
Who am I?
I'm nobody special.
I'm just an American.
I'm just an American.
I'm just an American.
I'm just an American.
Now, the Vista Murrieta High School Criminal Justice Club will present a poem by Cassidy Lovell.
Hi, I'm Amanda Kaiser, President of the VMHS Criminal Justice Club.
I'm Brandon Rias, Vice President of Criminal Justice Club here on campus.
And we are here today to honor our fallen brothers and sisters. This poem is titled A Day to Remember by Cassidy Lovell.
Early morning on the 11th of September is a day America will forever remember. The clouds are white, the sky is blue, a tragedy unfolds and no one knew.
What to do, who to call. Angels rise when towers fall. Heroes gallantly did their best. Sadly, some were laid to rest.
Today we honor the brave and lay flowers upon their graves. To save others they tried, some succeeded and some died.
Today we honor the great and mourn their untimely fate. Tears of courage are wept, in our hearts they are forever kept.
Today America will mourn the heroes that died for the duty they had sworn. Today America will unite to honor those who ran towards the fight.
Let's please give another thank you to our Criminal Justice Club for their powerful and compelling poem. Now, please give your attention to Nathan Prey, Brianna Alvarez, Adrian Acoutier, Jomar Black, Jarrell Palandi, and Angelica Treviso as they fold the American flag with 13 folds. The folded tri-corner American flag should remind us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington, and of the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, as they were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the United States Armed Forces, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today. The 13 stripes represent the original 13 states: Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, and Rhode Island. The 50 stars represent our 50 United States of America. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Patrick Henry. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Thomas Paine. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Declaration of Independence. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America, Preamble of the United States Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. First Amendment. The basis of our political system is the right of the people to make and to alter their constitutions of government. George Washington. My God, how little do my countrymen know what precious blessings they are in possession of, and which no other people on earth enjoy. Thomas Jefferson. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Abraham Lincoln. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Emma Lazarus, inscription on the Statue of Liberty. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Martin Luther King, Jr. Now, please give another warm welcome to JROTC's newest instructor, Lieutenant Colonel Gavin Harrison.
Good morning, fellow Broncos. Most people have several occasions in their life when they can remember very specific detail of where they were, what they were doing, what was being said, and their senses and emotions at that time. Your brain just has a way of emblazoning those moments in which life is being changed. They can be good or bad. The birth of a child, the death of a loved one, or an event so historic that you realize the world has changed. 2 generations ago, most Americans could tell you where they were when they heard that Pearl Harbor had been bombed. My parents' generation, your grandparents, can almost assuredly tell you those kind of details about where they were when President Kennedy was assassinated or when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. In my life, one of those memories will always be September 11th, 2001, 16 years and just a few hours ago. I was still in the Air Force at that time, right up the 215 at March Air Reserve Base. I lived here in Murrieta, and I was driving to work early that day. I had a morning training local to fly, a training mission. I was listening to a popular radio show, which was a combination of rock and roll and a lot of humor to help people get through their commute. As I was approaching the exit for the base, one of the 2 DJs reported that a twin-engine plane had struck one of the Twin Towers in New York City. I can remember thinking, that's not very funny. These guys usually have a little bit better taste than to say something like that. But it soon became apparent that they were not joking, as the familiar barbs and one-liners were replaced by 2 very somber witnesses to what they were seeing on their television. Quickly thereafter, I was in the squadron, which was almost vacant at that time of the morning. It was just my air crew and myself, and we were quickly gathered around a television set, our set, in the scheduling room. We watched with the same amazement and dismay as the rest of the country, not knowing whether this had been an accident or some horrible act. Then at 06:03 local time, our question was answered as we all watched live when the second plane hit the South Tower. At this time, it was obvious that our nation was under attack. As you can imagine, there are some things to be done in a military airlift squadron when you find out you're being attacked. There is mobility equipment to be readied, medical records to be reviewed, aircraft to be fueled and loaded, cargo and destinations to be determined. And oh yeah, we have to find the people to do all of these things. You see, our unit was a reserve unit. Our members were primarily civilians, who most of the time had civilian jobs and lives outside the Air Force. People from each crew position needed to get on the phone and find the crew members that we knew were going to be needed to man these missions. But there was a problem with the phones. We couldn't get a line out. The phones weren't broken. This was not some sort of terrorist plot. Our phones were ringing off the hook. All of these civilians, these nurses, truck drivers, bankers, teachers, mechanics, they were calling us. They didn't know who we were fighting. They didn't know where they'd be going. They didn't know how long they'd be gone or when they'd see their families again. They only knew one thing. The United States was under attack, and they wanted to be a part of the response that was sure to come. They all had the same feeling of the Minutemen in our Revolutionary War. They were people who preferred to work their farms, their shops, their trades, and then go home at night in peace, but who would drop all of the things they enjoy about their liberty to fight to preserve the land that provided that freedom to them whenever it was attacked. What do we call that quality in our people that would have them be so willing to give up their personal needs and even their safety to fight for a nation and its ideals? We call it the American spirit. I know that sounds a little corny. It's probably not a known psychological term. It's one of those things that can be hard to explain, but you just know it's there because you can feel it. It may have been very difficult for me to explain this to you had I had my new ROTC position been at some other high school. But in the short time that I've been here at Vista Murrieta, I've learned that this is a staff and a student body that will easily understand this concept because there is a powerful and unmistakable Bronco spirit at this school. It's an individual and community feeling that we can do anything we put our minds to. We set our goals high, and we are willing to work hard to achieve them. Together we can achieve great things, and when we work together and love one another, we are unstoppable. Most of you have been to some other high schools, maybe many other high schools. No doubt you've been able to feel the difference, the lack of character and energy at some of the other schools, seeing and feeling what's missing at the other campuses compared with Vista helps you realize just how great your school really is. It might make you feel sorry for the students at the other school. It might make you want to get home as quickly as possible, and it certainly should make you feel very, very proud to be a Bronco. Well, I can confidently tell you that I've been to many more countries than any of you have been to high schools. I can also tell you that those are the exact same feelings I've always had about the United States each and every time I visited a foreign land. Some of the countries were beautiful, some were not. Some were friendly, some most definitely were not. Regardless of their many characteristics, they were all missing one ingredient that I have happily become addicted to, and that is the American spirit. The American spirit is brave. For well over 200 years, American men and women have been willing to sacrifice everything they've had, including their lives, to protect our way of life and its future. The American spirit is strong. The call to work or fight for this great nation in its time of need has always and will always cause Americans to put down their differences with one another and band together for our common good. The American spirit is compassionate. The United States has spent more time, expended more resources, sent more people, and spilled more of its own blood on behalf of other peoples who could not help or defend themselves than any other nation in history. The American spirit is forward-looking. The United States is the greatest product of mankind's need to explore. This land was discovered and developed by people looking for a better life. As a nation, we continue to explore and discover all of the best possibilities on this planet, in outer space, and within our own humanity. Finally, the American spirit is quite often underestimated. 9/11 was only the most recent example in a long list of other people's underestimation of our refusal to give in to fear, threats, or even extreme violence and allow our precious way of life to be altered. The resolve of our people has been continually tested since the shot heard around the world was fired at Lexington, Massachusetts in 1775. Each time, including September 1st, 2001, our resolve, our American spirit, has been unbroken. I mentioned earlier that you would have an easy time understanding this concept, since you are all members of a large group with a very similar spirit. After all, isn't that what we're doing here? Aren't we helping to mold the next generation of great Americans? As Broncos, you are setting higher goals, working harder to achieve those goals, not taking no for an answer, and working together to achieve greatness in so many ways. This is the practice where you'll learn to be the people this country needs to carry on its spirit. General Douglas MacArthur once said, "On the fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that on other days, on other fields, will bear the fruits of victory." Your fields of friendly strife are right here at Vista Murrieta High School. In your labs, in your classrooms, in your leadership groups, and of course on the fields of athletic competition. Here you will gain the tools to become the next generation to keep this country strong. For you, 9/11 is not a day of mourning or sorrow burned in your memory forever. Rather, it is a day to remind you of the indomitable American spirit and that our culture, our freedoms, our liberties, and our way of life are not negotiable. No doubt this country's resolve will be tested again, and I have no doubt that your generation will answer that call once more and carry on the American spirit. God bless Vista Murrieta High School, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Colonel. As a unified school, we will now take some time to remember those who lost their lives on the morning of September 11th, 2001, led by Cadet Second Lieutenant R.J. Cardenas. Additionally, I would like to welcome Vista's concert band, conducted by Mr. Wade.
The people of the United States greatly relied on first responders and the United States military to protect our freedom. Our student leaders will be escorting our special guests as they represent their branch of service, the flights, the towers, and the Pentagon. Each representative will carry a red rose to symbolize the hardiness and the valor their fellow comrades displayed on that fateful day. Our student leaders will carry a white rose to symbolize the remembrance our generation will carry on so that we may never forget September 11th, 2001. Representing the police department, we have Detective Jason Jones, escorted by ASB President Lauren Colella. Representing the victims of New York City, we have Matthew Bean, escorted by Plus Representative Marina Garnica. Representing Flights 11 and 175, we have Staff Sergeant Majestic from the United States Army, escorted by Renaissance Representative Mariah Bennett. Representing Flight 77, we have Senior Chief Petty Officer Don Villanueva from the United States Navy, escorted by Senate Representative Andrew Romero. Representing Flight 93, we have Chief Warrant Officer 3, Michael Higuera from the United States Marine Corps, escorted by Air Force Junior ROTC Cadet Major Trinity Higuera. Representing the United States military, we have Master Sergeant Paul Spear from the United States Air Force, escorted by Link Crew Leader Representative Abby Murray. Representing the Towers and Pentagon, we have Rebecca Lane from our school staff, escorted by BBC Representative Mackie Bautista. may all be remembered and memorialized in our hearts.
And now, to close our ceremony, Tristan Wilkinson from the Vista Murrieta High School Band will be playing taps. If you are in uniform, render a salute. Thank you for your attendance this morning. The ceremony is now concluded. Please enjoy the rest of your day.